Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. I am Tori Lynn. Let's blossom today. First things first, my hair is slightly lavendery lilac, and that's why it looks dark up here. It's because it's got purple in it. But I just want to point that out. You guys will see that in the vlog this week, coming up on Sunday. So just wanted to address my hair is different. Yes, I know. But anyway, so today I'm going to the Dollar General and picking out a whole face of makeup. So let's head over to the Dollar General. Alright, so just pulled up out front of the Dollar General. Alright, I'm back. I got my whole bag of goodies. I spent a good chunk of change, a little more than I had anticipated, but I bought an entire face and everything was either $4, $4.50, or $5. And then of course my 5 cents for the bag. But I got literally, I think pretty much everything I need. So let's go ahead and pull it all out of the bag. So everything I bought was from this brand called B.W.T.L, and I don't know if that is the Dollar General's makeup brand or if it's just a cheap brand that a lot of places carry that I have never seen before. And they also had like Maybelline and some CoverGirl. I don't ever really bought makeup there before. The only thing I've ever bought from Dollar General is they also sell my Coty Translucent Airspun powder, and I had purchased it there in the past, but I think it's pretty much the same price-wise as buying it from Walmart or online. Anyways, I wanted to go with a brand I had never tried before, and I had honestly never seen this brand anywhere besides the Dollar General, so this was it. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. I bought a primer. This is the Radiantly primer. It's just a face primer. I'm guessing it's supposed to give kind of a dewy, glowy sheen to your skin. Take the security thing off the back, which left the packaging all nasty, sticky. But anyways, this is the product. Okay, so it's very shimmery. It's kind of dark for a primer. Okay, so my skin looks really glowy and dewy right now. So if you're looking for a dewy primer, it definitely does that. I don't know, obviously, how well this primer lasts or if it even really is pore filling, but it does give me a really nice natural glow, which is a good thing. Okay, so let's jump into foundation. So this is the Skin Finish Foundation. It says it's a medium to full coverage, and I got mine in the shade Buff. I still have a little bit of tan left. I'm kind of sad. I haven't been able to lay out in the sun like the last week and a half, 2 weeks, just because I've been busy, and I kind of feel like my tan is really going away, which makes me really sad. I definitely still have a little bit of tan left. Again, the security tags leave really nasty gooiness on the cap. Guys, it's not a twist off, it's just a... So I'm going to take it on the back of my brand new Aesthetica sponge. I'm going to give it a few good pumps. I'd say it has pretty good coverage. I mean, it seems to cover pretty much all of my blemishes and stuff pretty well. The shade doesn't look too bad. It actually might be a hair light compared to my chest, but usually I can just kind of fix that with a little bit of bronzer. So far I'm liking the finish. Now I don't know if that is from the primer or if that's the foundation itself, but it does have really nice satiny, natural skinned finish to it. I do feel like it's settling in my pores pretty heavy, so that primer didn't really help with the pore filling. It really just made my skin dewy as far as I can tell. Let's go ahead and conceal. This is their Your Covered Liquid Concealer, and I got mine in the shade Ivory. So in person, this is very pink toned. It's not picking up so much on camera, but it's a very rosy kind of concealer. I typically like mine to be a little more neutral. This is definitely on the warm side. It doesn't pick up like that on camera, which I hate when stuff like that happens, because I feel like I can't be, you can't truly tell what it looks like then. It's not super thick. It's not real runny either. It's kind of just a medium consistency. Let's see how it blends out. So it blended out okay. Honestly, I feel like it turned really sheer and thin as I started to blend it out, and I don't feel like it really covered anything under my eyes. I don't feel like it really did anything in the end. Maybe lightened my under eye a little bit, but like you can't even see on my forehead a difference or around my chin. Really pretty much all looks the same. If you're looking for a concealer with good coverage, this is not it, and it's really not even very brightening. And I want to say this was maybe the lightest shade that they had. They might have had one or two lighter, I can't remember now, but this concealer, definitely not worth it. It didn't do what I wanted it to do. I mean, typically I like my concealers to, have some coverage and to really brighten up, but maybe if we try layering a little more in. But I really don't feel like it did anything at all. I just want to see if it's buildable at all. Usually you don't need your concealers to be buildable, so I'd say that did add a little bit more brightness, but still I'm not really getting much coverage. I don't know, guys, it kind of is what it is. Like, it doesn't look terrible, but I'm not feeling like, wow, that's a good concealer. Even for $4.50 or $5 or however much this concealer was, kind of just, ugh. And we're gonna go ahead and bake that. They had baking powders and they had pressed powders. I decided to just go with a baking powder. I got mine in the shade Translucent, but it does seem to have some color to it. But they also had a good range of shades, it looked like, from what I could see. I pulled out a few that were pretty dark and a few that were, a little lighter. So if you're looking for some fairly cheap powder with a good range, this might be it. Honestly, though, it's only like a few dollars cheaper than my Coty Translucent, and you get way less powder in this stuff. So I'm just going to tap some into the lid here, and I'm going to bake those under eyes. But actually, first I'm going to buff out those creases, because my eyes be creasing. Under eyes are always creasing. So yeah, this powder definitely has a little vanilla-y kind of hue to it. It's not white like most of my translucent powders. I'm really hoping it doesn't leave my under eye crusty and cakey looking. Some translucent powders sweep off and they just look really smooth and beautiful, and some of them look crusty, dusty, busty, and I'm really hoping that this is not one. Not that I have a lot going on today, but I do still have to leave the house, so I am just realizing that I didn't grab a brow product, although I was looking at the brow products and was debating on which one to get. I apparently didn't grab a brow pencil, so a little irritated with myself for that one. I'm going to go ahead and throw on my brows using the Morphe Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Taupe. Yeah, I seriously sat there and looked at their different brow products and decided which one to get, and then I apparently didn't grab it, so I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're going to move into the eyes. I got this cute little palette. This is the Nearly Nude eyeshadow palette. Just comes with 6 shades. It's got, looks like 4 shimmers and 2 mattes. They did have a couple palettes and they were all very pretty. I just thought this would be colors I would wear more than some of the other ones. They had a couple cool tone. This one's kind of more of a warm toned, but they're all pretty pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and take the creamy vanilla shade, matte one, and set my lids down. Because we really don't have a ton of option, I'm just going to take the dark chocolatey brown color and work that in the outer crease. We're not really going to have a true crease color today because we really don't have the option for that. This shade is too dark to make our crease color. So kind of wish they had done 3 and 3 and kind of made like this shade matte. And that could have been like a good crease shade, I feel like. So these shadows aren't super pigmented, but they have a good amount of pigment. I also kind of feel like they may be a little bit chalky, which I don't love, or patchy. They don't have a lot of fallout in the pan, which is nice. So yeah, it's a little bit patchy, but honestly, for $5, it's really not that bad. Definitely used worse shadows. I'm gonna take a good blending brush and blend that out. So not too bad. They're honestly still a little bit patchy, a little heavy, but it blended out okay enough to where I'm satisfied with it. Let's go with this shade right down here. This pretty, slightly purpley brown shimmer. And we're gonna pop that on the lid. Okay, so it definitely gets darker underneath. I mean, look how much darker that is. It does still look shimmery, so I don't think it's one of those shadows that, wow, okay, that's really dark, where it has like a layer of glitter and then it's actually just matte inside. I think that this still does have shimmer to it, but it's a lot darker than I was expecting it to be. Don't mind the color, just wasn't quite the look I was going for originally, but you know, we're gonna make it work. Just gonna take my blending brush and kind of smooth the line out between those two shadows. Now I'm gonna take the shade next to it. It's kind of more of like a caramely brown with a little shimmer to it, and I'm gonna pop that right in the center of the lid, hoping to kind of brighten it up a little bit. So this shadow is the same way. It's darker underneath that top layer, and I'm not really sure I understand why. The matte shades were not like that. Now I want to hop into the lightest shimmery shade, and I'm going to pop that on the inner corner as well as the brow bone. Now I think I'm going to jump back into that middle shade, which was the first shimmery shade we used, and I'm going to smoke out the lower lash line. All in all, a little confused about those shimmers and why they're darker underneath. It was just because the shades are oxidizing, or if the shadow's really darker underneath. The white one didn't do that either. I don't know. I'm a little confused about that. But the eye look itself isn't bad. A little patchy. Is it great? No. But if you're looking for a cheap eyeshadow palette for like a one occasion kind of thing, or just to play around with, then, you know, it's really not that bad of a palette. So, you know, it's just kind of, it's not great, it's not terrible. So let's go ahead and set the face. I'm going to use that same translucent powder, but first I'm going to sweep away my baking and kind of see how that left us. Honestly, the baking doesn't look too bad. It's definitely not a brightening powder at all. Like, there's no brightness whatsoever under my eyes. I still have a little bit of creasing, if you can tell, but I mean, that's pretty typical with me. My eyes pretty much crease no matter what I'm wearing. I don't see a lot of like crustiness. It doesn't look super dry. It actually has kind of a nice velvety look texture to it. So it's kind of gotten rid of that dewy glowiness that primer left us. But it does has a nice finish to it, so it's not bad, it's just not brightening. But now we're going to go ahead and set the rest of our skin with that. By the way, the foundation dried down pretty good. It's not really wet or tacky anymore. Another thing I've noticed is none of these products really have a smell, which is kind of nice. Sometimes you get foundations or powders and things that have a pretty strong, distinct smell, and sometimes it's not the best smell in the world. If you're sensitive to smells, it can give you headaches, or just after smelling it kind of makes you feel like, and these don't have any smell whatsoever that I have been able to notice or smell. So setting my skin with that, it all just kind of has a nice smooth velvety texture to it. It's not real dewy. It's almost more of a matte powder, although it just says translucent. Oh, actually this one says matte blur loose powder in the shade translucent. So it is a matte powder. I definitely do think it gave the skin a really nice matte finish. Definitely kind of has a velvety look to it. Not bad. I just really feel like my under eyes look like I didn't put concealer or anything on. It looks like I put foundation on and then just kind of set it from there. Like, I don't know, it's very weird. I don't love it. Let's go ahead and bronze up. I grabbed this trio. This is the Get Glow Highlight and Contour Palette in the shade Medium Deep. So it's got, you know, the bronzer, blush, and highlight. I picked this because honestly it was cheaper than buying all three. But I also didn't see any. They had lots of blush colors, big variety of blush colors. Some really like bright, peachy, orangey ones, just some more nudes. And then there was kind of an okay selection of bronzer. And then I didn't really see any highlight. So I thought this would be one, cheaper, and two, just the better option. This highlight honestly looks a little dark for me, I guess because it's called Medium Deep, but this was the only shade that they had in this trio. They didn't have other options. So let's go ahead and just bronze up first. Honestly, bronzers and powders like this can either make or break the look. If they go on good and they're not real chunky or dusty or muddy looking, you know, it can really kind of fix the look. But if you put them on and they are really dusty, kind of muddy looking, then it can totally ruin it. Honestly, I feel like that's a pretty good shade. It's not real intense. It's pretty warm toned, but honestly, it doesn't look bad. And this is usually, if one of my cheeks is gonna get muddy, it's usually this one because I have this kind of darker textured patch on my cheek. So my husband just called me in the middle of that sentence, so I don't remember what I was saying, but I was talking about being muddy, and obviously it didn't get muddy, so you know, I think we're gonna be okay. I am going in with a fairly light hand. I'm not going in real heavy because this is a product I've never used before. Overall, I really kind of actually like that bronzer. It's just really soft, really subtle, but it does add a nice glow to the skin. Well, sun-kissed look. And it really didn't get too muddy, so it's actually, I'm pleasantly surprised with it. So let's move into the blush now. This is a little more of a, kind of a deep rose shade. Again, I'm going in pretty light-handed just because when you're working with products you've never used before, you don't want to go in heavy-handed and then be like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? You know, you want to kind of test the waters before you jump straight into it, you know. Blush was pretty as well. I really like that color. Again, very soft, very subtle. These don't have a ton of pigment, but that's okay. That means that, you know, you have a little more room to wiggle with them. So let's jump into this highlight and see if it's going to be too dark or what's going to happen here. So, not really feeling like I'm getting a whole lot of product or shimmer from these highlights. I feel like I have dipped in quite a few times and I just barely have any sort of glow. So the highlight is not really pigmented, doesn't have a lot of shimmer to it. You're not going to be beaming to the gods with this one. Very soft, very subtle highlight. So this whole little trio, very soft, very subtle. If you're just starting to get into highlight and bronzer and blush, then this might be a good palette because it doesn't really seem like you're going to get too much pigment from them. So you can't just jump in and get too carried away. It's just a very soft, natural look, which I honestly kind of feel like everything about the eyes reflects that. I mean, really, you know, nothing was super brightening, so nothing was super crazy. The eyes are obviously a little dark, but that was not intended, so, you know. Next, I've got this makeup setting spray. This is called Makeup Perfecting Setting Spray. And I forgot to mention, they had multiple different, they had like 3 or 4 different ones. They had one that was more for color correcting. They had one that did say it was more pore blurring, I believe. And then they had this one. There might have been a couple others, but I just decided to go with the dewy because it's summertime. You want to look dewy and gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and set my skin down. So this says you can do prime, you can set, and you can refresh with this. But I did not. I'm just going to set it. So it has a very, very fine mist. It's not really heavy. It just sets down and it really doesn't have any scent to it. I didn't really feel like I was getting a lot on my skin, but my skin is pretty wet and dewy at the moment, so, you know. Apparently I was. It kind of reminds me of, what is it, the Morphe Continuous Mist, how it's just such a fine light mist that you don't always realize how much you're getting on your skin. Okay, now we're going to go in with some mascara. This is their Dramatically Full Lashes High Drama Fiber Mascara. They did have actually quite a few different options for mascara. I honestly always just look at the little picture of the eye that they have, you know, most of them have, and go based off which lash style I like best. I like full and long, and so a lot of times I like kind of that tapered cat eye look. Actually, so the cap is matte, and the tube itself is not matte, but it's just kind of this purpley color, and this is again the High Drama Fiber Mascara, which I don't really know what that means. Looks like a typical cheap wand. Nothing special about this one. It just looks like it has nylon bristles. It looks thick. Honestly, I feel like I gave those lashes a good couple of coats, and it's kind of like, what lashes? Like, it didn't do hardly anything to my lashes. And I feel like I have fairly good lashes on their own, so I don't always need a ton of mascara. But no, I do not recommend this mascara, guys. It's total garbage. Like, it didn't do anything hardly to my lashes. Made some of them a little bit darker and some of them chunky in a not good way, so just no, honestly this should just go straight to the garbage can. We did pick up a pair of lashes. These are Goddess Finish False Lashes. Just say lash glue is included, but honestly I'm probably going to use my own lash glue. It's kind of weird packaging, so the words go this way, but so the lashes go that way, but I feel like it should be like this and the words should go like that, right? But those are the lashes. I picked some pretty thick, wispy ones. I just think that they're pretty. They kind of look like they have maybe a 3D situation going on. Okay, so it does come with the tiny little glue bottle that actually maybe has a brush. Tiny little glue bottle on the back. Honestly, I'm just going to use my glue, my Duo Lash Glue, which I need to grab. I think I'm going to need to cut these down because they're pretty long. Okay, so while I was waiting for my lash glue to dry, I went ahead and took the little sticky tab off this, and obviously I still have a little lash glue drying. I got a little carried away on this side, not gonna lie. But anyway, so now this is their Velvet Matte Liquid Lipstick. They did have some lip gloss as well, but I just decided to go with the liquid lipstick because that's what I like to wear the most. And this is in the shade Honey Blush. It has basically the exact same applicator that the concealer had. I love this color. The product itself is pretty matte, and it definitely feels matte. So far, because it's not fully dried down, it doesn't feel really dry on the lips, but it doesn't have like a velvety, creamy texture to it when you rub your lips together, even when it's wet. But I am obsessed with this lip color. It reminds me a lot of my Mellow Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Nude. They're very, very similar. I really like this lip color, guys. I will for sure be wearing this regularly as long as it feels good on my lips. I've kind of figured out through the years that when a liquid lipstick is too dry on the lips, putting a small thin layer of chapstick or lip balm on before your lipstick on actually helps a lot. It ends up being beautiful and matte, but not so drying. I feel like SpongeBob when he goes to Sandy's for the first time and doesn't have his water thing on, and he's like, I need water. That's how some of the times they make me feel. This one so far doesn't feel like that. It's definitely drying down pretty quickly. Has a slight tackiness to it at the moment, but it's not bad. So we've made it to the end. I don't love this look. I don't hate it. Honestly, I think I would like it a lot more if the eye look didn't turn out so dark, because that's just not what I was going for today. But that's what happened with the shadows. They just turned out to be a little darker than I had anticipated. And I wish the under eye had a little more pop, a little more brightness to it. And honestly, I could have done with a highlight that had a little more glow to it. But the foundation looks pretty good. I really like that bronzer. And the blush wasn't bad either. Really, the only two things that I am just like about is the mascara. This is just garbage. Do not buy this mascara. Honestly, I doubt that the rest of their mascaras are gonna be any better. To me, I seriously feel like mascara is one of those things that you get what you pay for. If you go out and you buy a good mascara, you're gonna get a good mascara. If you go out and you buy cheap mascara, you're gonna get a cheap mascara. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. That's kind of what I've learned on this channel, you know, between like doing the Burt's Bees and e.l.f. and everything else that I've done. The cheaper the mascara, the worse it's gonna be. You might as well go spend a little more and get a good mascara, especially if you don't wear falsies. You know, if you wear falsies wearing a crappy mascara, not gonna make a difference. If you don't wear falsies every day and you like to still have good lashes, then buy one that's more expensive. That's kind of just how I have started to feel with mascaras. Honestly, I will probably never use this mascara again. The other product that I really just think was kind of waste of money was the concealer. It didn't really give a lot of coverage. It did not brighten. It didn't really do anything that a concealer should do. I honestly still feel like I look like I put my foundation on and then set it with powder. I don't feel like it even looks like I put concealer on. So either I just got the wrong shade for me, or it just doesn't really have any coverage whatsoever. It's not brightening. It's just not worth the money. Even if it's only $4 or $5, it's not worth the money. Those two things I would say scratch, throw out. As far as favorite products go, this lip color is for sure my favorite product. I feel like it performed exactly the way I thought it would, and I really, really like this color. They did have a small range of colors, mostly in the kinds of reds to pinky shades. It didn't really have a lot of other crazy shades. I'd call them more nude shades. And I really actually like the way the foundation looks. It's pretty full coverage and it looks nice on the skin. I like the setting powder. It's not brightening for the under eye and it's matte. And in the winter, this will probably be a really, really nice setting powder, but I don't typically like to go for a matte look during the summer. So maybe in a few months when fall hits, this will be something I'll start using more, but I do like it. I mean, it had a nice finish to it. It didn't look patchy or chalky or dusty. It didn't even make my under eyes look crusty. So it's not a bad product. As far as the primer goes, like that it was dewy. It did not really fill in my pores though. I still feel like my pores look the same, and setting that powder down over it pretty much got rid of whatever dew was really there. But I think for the summer this will be probably one of my regular products. The lashes, they're standard pretty lashes. They do have a pretty thick band, which I don't always love, especially if I'm going without really wearing makeup and I just want it to look like I have some nice lashes. Thick banded lashes aren't usually the way to go for that, but if you're doing a darker look or a full glam look, the band isn't a big deal. The eyeshadow palette, pretty shades, but to me, honestly, it was misleading as far as the colors go, and I wish it had one more kind of medium brown matte. But if you're looking for just a play palette, or you're not really experienced with makeup and you're looking for something to kind of dip your toes in, then this might not be bad. But if you're used to high-end, good quality, true to color palettes, I wouldn't recommend that one for you. Blush, bronzer, and highlight trio though, I do like. I really like the blush and the bronzer. I think they look really pretty. They're very soft and very subtle, as well as the highlight. But typically for me, I prefer a more striking highlight. But if you like a very subtle highlight, this one is a pretty good palette. And even though it was medium to deep, I feel like the colors look really good on my skin tone. And honestly, I'm a pretty fair person, although I have been tanning the last couple of months. The last thing I haven't really talked about is the setting spray. It's a setting spray. Obviously haven't worn the makeup all day, so I don't know how it helps with the prolonging wear of your makeup. It didn't have any smell, which was nice, and I mean, my makeup looks fine, so sure, it's a good one. I will probably use this on my everyday makeup where I just do some concealer and some pressed powder and set it down. And that's probably what I will use this for. I don't think I'll wear it for like special occasions. Haven't really been able to test it out, but so far it had nothing stuck out to me with it, you know. Nothing was like, oh, I love this setting spray or, you know, anything like that. So let me know what you guys think about this look down below. Have you guys tried this brand before? And if so, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you kind of were like me and had some mixed feelings? If you haven't, then let me know what your favorite product was out of all the stuff I used today. What do you think looked the best? Also, you can go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.